Good evening. This is Dr. Tillman, and it is the 4th of April, and we are in Holy Week, and I imagine there's lots going on in your life, and some are on Easter break, and some are getting ready to go on Easter break, and the semester is moving along. I would just like to say I have 5 more people that need to turn in the OMA. I have 5 people that need to do skip 1. I have 7 people that need to do skip 2, 10 people with skip 3, 17 people with skip 4. And of course, all those people would need to get the skip turned in before the end of the semester. And of course, we're looking for the CAAP 1, and I am beginning to get some of those turned in. I do have 4 people that have not put anything in their competency folio, so I have not actually seen those folios. So if you are one of those 4 people, you know who you are. All of you are in the class that is new to me this semester, so literally I have never seen your competency folio, and I have never seen your log, so I'm sort of in the dark, but I'm willing to help you if I can. One of you, I think, has been on, but for some reason I'm not seeing the work. So anyway, I wanted to be able to get 2 people, and since I don't have anyone except Ms. James Robinson on tonight, I wanted to make sure, at least if you listen to the video, you'd be reminded that you have that to do. I would like to say that the thing about the CAAP 1 that I am most concerned about, if you do not get that CAAP 1 done correctly, it is really going to put you behind. The CAAP 1 must have those 5 areas, and each area must be addressed with the research data. It must be in a narrative, it must be in the graphic, and you must come up with a recommendation or 2, and I believe Dr. Lamb said 2 recommendations, but 1 or 2 good recommendations for each of those 5 areas, not the most needy of those, but something in each of those 5 areas, and then strategies to address each of the recommendations. That's in CAAP 1. Then in CAAP 2, you're going to design a survey, and you're going to use the exact same questions that you used in 1, not all, but the most significant ones. I believe Dr. Lamb said 10 to 45. So, it depends on your data. That's why this is hard to do. We can tell you what needs to be done, but we can't tell you the degree to which it needs to be done, because that is related to your unique school. And when you get a job as an administrator, your school will be completely different possibly than the one you're in now. So it's the process that you need to learn. And that's what we're really trying hard to make sure that you feel comfortable with the process. So you're going to give that survey out. You're going to look at that survey. And from that, you're going to then do qualitative research. Remember, all 5 areas. You're going to talk to people about each of those 5 areas, and you're looking for why the low areas are low and what is their recommendation for improving those low areas. So you want to be really careful with your questions, because you have to analyze the questions and come up with, in each of those 5 areas, what was the result of your qualitative information gathering. And so you're going to look back on your recommendations in 1, and you may decide to modify your recommendations. But what you're going to end up with in 2 at the end would be to confirm or edit the recommendations that were made in one in all 5 areas. I keep saying that, and I know you think I'm just, I've lost my mind, but I do not understand how we can say 5, and I'm sure going to end up with somebody that doesn't realize they have to do all 5. So in each of those 5 areas, at the end of 2, you're going to have recommendations for each of the 5 areas. Okay, then you move on to task 3. And having done the APSL, the APTL, the OMA, the SKIP, what do you think you're going to have to do in this 3rd part of your evidence? Well, it's going to be doing a plan, an action plan to improve the culture of your school. And it's laid out very clearly in the rubric that you need to have the vision and mission, you need to have the school leadership address, you need to have the quality, the experience and certification levels of your teachers, all that, the parental involvement and support, the conflict resolution. How do you resolve the conflicts that happen within your school? This is not about students and teachers only. It's about the bigger picture of this conflict resolution idea and about student achievement. Now, all of that is lumped. If you'll think about the big heading is the culture of your school. And all of those other headings that I just talked about are really the subheadings, if you want to think of it that way, that talk about the overall culture of your school. If you have a high-functioning population that 95% of your kids go to college, the culture is different than if you have 50% of your kids in trades education, you have a high dropout rate, you have a high community poverty rate. That's a whole different culture. It's not a negative, it's not a positive, it's just different. So what you have to do when you go into a school and they hand you the keys to the kingdom, you need to know your school's culture, because you can't address problems unless you understand the culture. So that's what this is all about in the CAAP, is defining the culture of your school based on those areas that I just listed. Now, it says in detail. Now, how much detail? It does not mean cut and paste everything from the previous things that you've done. It means do a quick summary. And learning to summarize is important, because when you get on the job, you do not have time to just talk on and on and on and on about something. You have to get it down and dirty, get the facts, and make sure that everything is as it should be. So what you've designed, what you're going to design in task 3 is the action plan to improve culture. You're going to have the recommendations for each of those 5 areas with specific activities, not these global things of we're going to improve the parent involvement. Remember, you've already said how you're going to improve parent involvement previously. Just tell them. You know, it's that thing. You told them before what you were going to tell them. You told them. Now tell them what you told them. And that's where you are here, the 3rd part of that. The first one, you're really setting the stage. Then you got down and dirty with it and decided what to do. And now you're putting it into a plan for implementation. And when you do a plan for implementation, it has to be specific. So that's what we're looking for there. And with that, I think, except for task 4, which is your reflective piece, I think we have covered all of the CAAP. And I will tell you, I was at Gardner-Webb this weekend and found that there are students who have already finished the CAAP, and they're compiling it and getting ready to turn it in. So realize that there are some people who are taking it seriously, that the summer is going to be hot and heavy, and you're going to have lots to do, and you're going to have to do it in a short time, and you're going to have to do it in an even shorter time because you're finishing. And I say, woo, for you, because you have really put on the speed this semester. And many of you have just done above and beyond the call of duty work. I'm just amazed at the quality of some of your work. And I want you to be successful. So if you get done early, take a little break, a day or two, and then get right back on it and keep working so that you can really finish feeling good about yourself and good about your work. I will say one more thing about the competency folio. I'm getting some good folios from most people, but I'm afraid you've gotten into the habit of putting things off until the last minute because that carries over and you can do it while you're digging into the beginning of the next semester. But remember, when it comes summer, you don't have a next semester after that, hopefully. So it all has to be done by the end of the semester. So don't leave it till the last minute. Please help me help you. And if you're one of those 4 people that has not put anything in task stream, I really ask you to put something in your folio and request comment from me, because that's the only way I get a link to your competency folio. I do not get it until you request comment from me. And you have to have set it up in folio and web pages up in that top banner. I think there might be one of you who did not do that last semester, and that might be your problem. And I had hoped if that person would come online tonight, we would be able to talk with them about it and see if we could get them some help, because I can't see your side of task stream. So anyway, that's what I know. Ms. James Robinson, do you have any questions or anything that you feel for the good of the group needs to be discussed?
No, I just had a few questions about CAAP Task 1.
Okay, the CAAP, okay.
Yeah, and then I did get your comments about the competency folio, and I was attaching everything, and then I don't know why I started linking things with the digital competency, but I went back and added the attachments.
Another person did that, and I can't figure out why some of them work and some of them don't.
Yeah, I don't know. So I just made sure if I did link it that I also went back and did an attachment also.
Yeah, because that's really what they're looking for. It's just through the attachment. Yeah.
So my task 1, with prompt 1, it's the analysis of the climate with the teachers' working conditions and those 5 areas.
The 5 areas.
Yep, those 5 areas, and we're just we're talking about the strengths and the weaknesses of both.
Yes.
Of all 5. Okay.
Yeah, strengths and weaknesses, and of course, that doesn't have to be long.
Okay.
Make it meaty. Make sure the information's in the narrative. Always including narrative and the actual chart or graph or table.
Right. Okay.
Figure, whatever it is that you're choosing to put in. And then for each one, looking at the lowest. And I've had some people that have said, well, I don't have any low ones, so I don't have anything to do. I think that's a good place to be in. And I would say that what you now need to do is figure out how you can maintain that level.
Right.
Because, sometimes it's that the administration has changed, and if the administration has changed, then you might have a honeymoon period, or maybe it's that they really have brought a breath of fresh air to the campus and things are on the move. And so then you're trying to make a recommendation as how to maintain that, and do one recommendation for maintaining each one.
Yeah, like ours, the facilities, because I was looking at that, and last year one of it was like one of the lowest was like a clean, I can't remember the exact wording, but the clean school and stuff. But we have a new day porter now, a new custodian. So I know, like, and we love her now. So I know that would, whenever I do interview people about that, I already know what they're going to say. So
yeah. Well,
okay, so I'm going to do the strengths and weaknesses because I've done most of prompt 2. I did the description of the setting, the purpose of the needs assessment, the list of participants. But then with that one, I was looking at the accomplished. So my question was, it demonstrates collaboration with others, in addition to the examination of the teacher's working conditions survey. So, is that just when I've talked to them about the strengths and weaknesses?
Okay, so you did the teacher working conditions survey in 1. Okay, in 2, we're talking about coming up with survey questions, looking at those.
No, I mean prompt 2, not task 2.
Oh, prompt 2.
Prompt 2, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so then reframe your question because my brain was working on task 2.
Task 2. So it was, it says a list of participants who participated during the needs assessment process and at what stage were they active. In order to get accomplished, it says the climate analysis demonstrates collaboration with others. What part are we supposed to meet with a group and talk about the strengths and weaknesses from one, or we're coming up, or both, or we do it with a group and then the needs assessment?
Oh, I see. The recommendations would come after you've analyzed the data and present it to your group, and have them help you come up with the recommendation.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
So the recommendations are coming from your small group. Then you're going to look at the questions that you want to ask in task 2.
Right.
You're pulling that back together and resurveying. And then when you see what's still low, then you're interviewing and coming up with, why do you think this is so low and what would you do about it? Because you may get some really good ideas from those people that you didn't get from your team, your CAAP team.
But the interview is in 3, right? Task 3?
The interviews are in task 2.
2, okay.
Let me look. I'm thinking,
because I printed out task 1, task 3, and 4. I don't know what happened to task 2, so I don't have that right in front of me.
Task. That's where you're going to get it. Because that's where it says, here's the key. It says the school environmental analysis includes a description of the qualitative research process. So the qualitative is the interviews.
Oh, okay.
So you want to make sure in your process, you define, what qualitative research is, yada, yada.
So, we have 80 staff members. Around about, how many interviews? Would 5 or 20,
let's not do 20.
Yeah.
How about, is it possible that you might be able to do 8 or 10?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just need
10%.
I just need to know, around about how many. And so
if you did a dozen, you could say you did 15%.
Okay.
So just trying to figure out what gives you a good sample.
Okay. And I will be interviewing them, asking them why those are still low.
Yeah, and you'll have of course the survey that you created, and you have the low questions there. You'll have that in your survey, in your paper.
Do we have exactly what the questions are, or that's just what I come up with?
Exactly the same questions that appeared to be the lowest in your
Right. But whenever I interview, I ask them, why do you think
These
these were
low
low?
ones were low. You don't want to collect too much data. You don't want to ask them why you think the good ones were good and why the bad ones were bad, because that's just more data for you to collect. And then what you collect, you got to analyze. So
only the low. Why do you think the low ones?
So why do you think the low ones, why are they low? And what do you think could be done about it? Realistically, what could we do? You know, it's like your cleanliness. It'd be great if we could just bulldoze it down and build a new one, but that's not realistic.
Okay. Well, yeah, like I've got a real good start on the CAP. Like I'm going to finish task 2 by the weekend. So then, you know, maybe I'll get feedback, because I really want to be done with this semester, because I have everything else in by the time I go back to school next week. Mm-hmm. So then I can move on to CAP 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. Well, I think that would be good, because the end of the semester is always so busy for everyone. And I entreat everyone to really, I know you're tired, but just push on.
We have one more semester.
You just got one more semester and you're going to be home free, and you know, you want to do a good job with this.
I'm not sure if you'll have the answer to this, but for our 3rd semester, do you know if we'll have like as many discussion boards and as many case studies?
Is that, are you talking about 605?
Yeah.
Yes. 605, there are discussion boards. Yes, you probably will have as much of that.
Okay, we will have as many.
I think so.
Probably. Okay.
And because that's one of the things that I think really helps people realistically look at how do you apply the knowledge that you're gaining.
Oh yeah, and I've actually really enjoyed, like you know, say hi. Tell Dr. Tillman hi.
Hello.
Can you say hi?
You have such a beautiful smile.
Oh, she's waving at you.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah, like I was telling Dr. Todd that, you know, just doing all the reading and then like interviewing, you know, and talking to my principal, my old principal and assistant principal, and just doing the facilities walk and stuff. And it's just good. It's really eye-opening. And, you know, it's things like I need to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, you know, I can understand people who want to do the minimum, but I just like to poke people and try to get them to do the most they can, because the learning curve is so steep when they hand you the keys.
Right.
There's not anybody at your elbow that you can turn and say, what do I do about this? You know, you got to have that little battery of people lined up to be able to.
Right.
So anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and try to, you know, finish working on this, and then I'll have this turned in soon.
Okay. Well,
all right. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So I had someone to talk to.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.